There are places on Earth so dangerous that humans are forbidden to set foot on them. Hidden in the waters of Atlantic Ocean, not far from the coast of South America, lies one of the most terrifying islands on the planet. An island where the ground itself seems alive, where danger may be waiting just a few steps away. This mysterious place is known as Ilha Queimada Grande, but most people call it something far more chilling, Snake Islands. Imagine walking through a dense forest where every tree, branch, every rock, and every patch of grass could hide one of the deadliest snakes in the world. Now imagine thousands of them. Some estimates suggest that there may be one snake for every few square meter of land on this island, a place where stepping off the path could mean entering a predator whose venom is more powerful enough to melt human tissues. How did such a terrifying place come to exist? Why would an island become home to one of the highest concentrations of venomous snakes anywhere on Earth? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, why has the government strictly forbidden visitors from entering this land? Located off the coast of Brazil, this isolated landmass has become the subject of countless stories, scientific curiosity, and chilling legends, from mysterious shipwrecks tales to strange evolutionary adaptations. Snake Island has captured imagination of explorers and scientists alike. But the truth about Ilha Guiamada Grande may be even more fascinating and far more terrifying than the legends. Tonight, we explore one of the most dangerous islands on Earth and uncover the secret hidden within the forest of the Snake Island. Our planet is filled with extraordinary places, from towering mountain ranges to deep ocean trenches. Earth continues to surprise us with the landscape and environments that feel almost impossible. Yet among all the natural wonders scattered around the globe, some of the most mysterious locations are not vast continents or giant deserts, they're just small isolated islands. Across the ocean of the world, there exist islands that seem almost unreal. Some islands are covered with diverse plants that grow nowhere else on Earth. Others have dangerous wildlife capable of surviving in extremely conditions. A few islands have the strange geological formations shaped by the ancient volcanic eruption or powerful natural forces, and there are island whose street story filled with mysterious story abundant settlements or strange legends passed down through the generations. Despite centuries of exploration, many of these islands remain only partially understood. Isolation plays a powerful role in shaping these unusual environments. When an island is separated from the mainland for thousands or even millions of years, plants and animals evolve in unique ways. Ecosystems develop independently and sometimes creating the species that cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Scientists call these places natural laboratories of evolution, but isolation can also create danger. Some islands are surrounded by treacherous waters or violent storms that make them difficult to reach. Others contain volcanic landscapes, toxic environments, or wildlife so dangerous that humans rarely visit. In some cases, governments have been restricted access entirely in order to protect the fragile ecosystem or to prevent the visitor from encountering the deadly conditions. One of the most famous examples of such place lies off the coast of Brazil. This small rocky island rises from the water of Atlantic Ocean, covered with the dense forest and steep cliffs. At first glance, it may look like many other tropical islands scattered along the Brazil coastline, but hidden within its forest is one of the most dangerous ecosystems on Earth. This island is known as Ilha Queimada Grande, though it is more widely recognized by its chilling nickname. Snake Island. Unlike most islands where human and wildlife coexist, this island belongs almost entirely to one creature, a venomous snake found nowhere else on the planet. Because of this extraordinary and dangerous concentration of wildlife, the Brazilian government has placed strict restrictions on visiting the island. Only a small number of visits of scientists are occasionally allowed to step onto its shore under the controlled conditions. For most people, Snake Island remains completely off limits, and yet this dangerous island continues to fascinate researchers, explorers, and storytellers around the world. How does such a extreme ecosystem form? Why did thousands of venomous snakes evolve on this single island? And what the secrets might still be hidden within its dense forest? To understand the mystery of the Snake Islands, we must explore where this forbidden place exists on the map and why its isolation helped create one of the strangest ecosystems on Earth. To understand how Snake Island became one of the most dangerous places on Earth, we first need to look at where it exists on the map. Hidden in the vast waters of the Atlantic Ocean, Ilha da Queimada Grande lies just off the southeastern coast of the Brazil, the largest country in the South America. While the Brazil is known for its vibrant cities, lush rainforests, and the famous beaches, this small island remains one of the country's most mysterious and restricted locations. The island is located in the South Atlantic Ocean, specifically along the Brazil southeastern coastline near the state of Sao Paulo. Although it belongs politically to the Brazil, the island is separated from the mainland by a stretch of open sea that has kept it isolated for thousands of years. If we look more closely at the map, we can see that the Slick Island is located about 33 kilometers or roughly 20 miles from the Brazilian mainland. The nearest coastal city is the Itahan, a small seaside town in the state of Sao Paulo. While 33 kilometers may not sound very far, this short distance has been enough to create a natural barrier that separates the island from the rest of the continent. This isolation is extremely important over the thousands of years surrounding ocean prevented many species from traveling between the island and the mainland. As a result, animals and plants on the island developed in the way that are very different from those on Brazil's mainland forest. The island itself is relatively small. Ilha Queimada Grande covers an area of only about 34 hectares, which is roughly 0.3043 square kilometers. 43 hectares. To put that into perspective, the island is less than the half size of many large city parks. Despite its small size, the island rises dramatically from the ocean. Steep rocky cliffs surround much of the coastline, making it difficult for boats to land safely. In some places, the cliffs rise sharply more than 200 meters above the sea level, forming a rugged and almost fortress-like landscape. Because of these cliffs and the dense forests that cover most of the land, much of the terrain is extremely difficult to explore. The environment of Snake Island is considered tropical, similar to the nearby Brazilian mainland. The island experiences warm temperature throughout the year, along with periods of rainfall that support the thick vegetation. Dense Atlantic forest vegetation cover most of the island surface, creating a humid and shaded habitat ideal for the wildlife. However, unlike many tropical islands known for sandy beaches and tourist resorts, Ilha da Queimada Grande feels far more rugged. Much of the coastline is rocky and the interior landscape consists of steep hills, tangled forests, and scattered clearings. These conditions make human travel across the island difficult, even without the presence of the dangerous animal. Historically, the island isolation became more significant because of the powerful ocean currents and the weather conditions in the region. The Atlantic weather quarters along the Brazil southeastern coast can sometimes produce rough waves and strong winds, which discouraged regular travel to the island in earlier centuries. For most of its territories, Snake Island remained largely untouched by permanent human settlement. There is only one notable human structure on the island, a small lighthouse built in the early 20th century. This lighthouse was constructed to warn ships about the dangerous rocks surrounding the island. At one time, lighthouse keepers lived there to maintain the light, but over time, the dangers about the island and the improvements in technology eventually led to the lighthouse being automated. Today, very few people are allowed to visit the island at all. The Brazil government has declared the island a protected ecological area and access is strictly controlled. Only small groups of scientists and researchers are occasionally permitted to land on the island in order to study its unique ecosystem. For everyone else, the island remains completely off limits. From a distance, Ilha Queimada Grande may appear like just another small tropical island rising from the Atlantic Ocean, but beneath its dense forests and rocky cliffs lies an ecosystem unlike any other, one that has evolved in their isolation, shaped by time and dominated by one of the most dangerous predators in the world. And that is exactly what makes this land so unusual. In the next part of our journey, we will explore why the Snake Island became one of the strangest and most mysterious places on Earth and how its extreme isolation created a deadly environment found nowhere else on the planet. At first glance, Ilha Guiamada Grandes looks like other tropical islands scattered along the coast of the Brazil. Dense green forest cover its hills, steep cliffs rises from the oceans, and the sea circle high above the shoreline. From a distance, nothing about the island appears unusual, but hidden beneath the peaceful appearance lies one of the most extreme ecosystems on Earth. What makes this island truly strange is the incredible concentration of one specific animal, a venomous snake found almost nowhere else in the world. This island is home to legendary golden lace lancehead, scientifically known as the Pothrops isularis. This rare species of pit viper evolved on the island thousands of years ago. After rising the sea level separated from the mainland Brazil, on the island become isolated, the snakes that remained there were trapped in a completely new environment, without large predators to control their population and with few mammals available as prey. These snakes gradually adapted to survive in unique ways. Over generations, they evolved stronger venom and specialized hunting behaviors that allowed them to capture birds flying between the island and the mainland. This evolutionary process created one of the most unusual predator-dominated ecosystems on the planet. Scientists estimate that thousands of these venomous snakes inhabit the island, while the exact number varies depending on the research estimates. Some early reports suggested that there could be one snake for every few square meters in certain areas. Whether that estimate is exaggerated or not, there is no doubt that the density of venomous snakes on the Ilha da Queimada Grande is among the highest everywhere on Earth, and the golden lancehead is no ordinary snake. Its venom is extremely powerful and highly specialized, unlike many other snake venoms that simply paralyze their prey. The venom of the golden lancehead works rapidly to break down the tissue and disrupt the blood circulation. This adaptation allows the snake to quickly immobilize the birds before they have a chance to fly away. Because of the potency of its venom, a bite from this snake can be extremely dangerous to humans. But the island's strangeness does not come from the snake alone. Its ecosystem is also unusual because of how it functions. On most islands, ecosystems are balanced between many different types of animals, mammals, birds, reptiles, and insects, all sharing roles within their environment. On Snake Island, however, mammals are extremely rare. Without mammals as dominant predators or prey species, reptiles, particularly snakes, became the most powerful hunter in ecosystem. This unusual imbalance created a landscape where a single predator species plays a major role in controlling the food chain. The island geography adds another layer of the mystery. Steep cliffs surrounding much of the island, making it difficult to approach from the sea. Thick vegetation cover the hillsides, creating a dense and humid forest where the visibility is limited and movement can be challenging. These conditions make exploring the island both physically difficult and potentially dangerous. Because of these risks, the government of Brazil has taken an extraordinary step. Access to Ilha Queimada Grande is strictly forbidden to the public. Only a small number of authorized scientists and members of the Brazilian Navy is allowed to visit the island, usually under tightly controlled conditions. These visits are typically conducted for scientific research or maintenance of the island lighthouse. For everyone else, dipping into the Snake Island is illegal. This strict restriction help protect both human and the island's fragile ecosystem. Since the golden land has only exists on this island, protecting its habitat is crucial for the survival of the other of the species. Over time, the combination of dangerous wildlife isolation and government restriction has helped build the island's mysterious reputation. Stories about Snake Island often spread across the internet, sometimes exaggerating the dangers and creating myths about might happen to anyone who attempts to visit. Yet behind the legends lies a very real and fascinating truth. Ihaquia Grande is not just a dangerous place, it is a rare example of how evaluation, isolation, and natural unpredictability can create an ecosystem unlike anything else where on Earth. In the next part of the journey, we will explore the island's unique wildlife and natural phenomena and discover how this extraordinary environment continues to fascinate scientists around the world. While it had the Quiyamad Grande is famous for its terrifying reputation, the island is also one of the most fascinating ecosystems on Earth because of its extreme isolation and unusual environmental conditions. The island has become home to a rare species found almost nowhere else on the planet. The most remarkable inhabitant of the island is the golden lancehead, scientifically known as the Porops insularis. This venomous snake evolved exclusively on the Snake Island after rising sea levels separated from the island from the mainland Brazil thousands of years ago. Once the island became isolated, the population of snakes living there have to adapt to a completely different environment. Unlike snakes on the mainland that feed on the rodents or small mammals, the golden land has developed a unique hunting strategy. Because mammals are extremely rare on the island, the snake primarily feast on the migratory birds that stop on the island during their long journeys across the Atlantic Ocean. These birds provide a vital food source for the snake population. To catch the fast-moving prey, the golden land has evolved a particularly powerful venom. Its venom acts quickly to immobilize the birds before they can escape into the air. Scientists had found that this venom is significantly more potent for than that of related snake species on the mainland. This remarkable adaptation is one of the clearest examples of how evolution can shape animals when they are isolated in a unique environment. But the snakes are not the only interesting wildlife on the island. Despite its dangerous reputation, Ilha da Queimada Grande also supports a variety of birds, insects, and small reptiles. Many migratory birds use the island as a temporary resting place during the long flight crossing the Atlantic. These birds unknowingly play an essential role in the island ecosystem, providing food for the island top predator. The island plant life is also adapted to its rugged environment. Dense Atlantic forest vegetation covers much of the island hills and slopes. Thick shrubs, ferns, and trees grow across the rocky terrain, creating a humid and shaded forest floor. These forests help stabilize the island soil and provide the shelter for birds and reptiles living among the vegetation. Geographically, Snake Island is equally fascinating. The island rises steeply from the ocean with dramatic cliffs surrounding much of the coastline. These rocky walls make it difficult for humans to approach or land safely, further reinforcing the land's natural isolation. In some areas, the cliffs rise more than 200 meters above the sea level, creating breathtaking views of the surrounding Atlantic Ocean. Inside the island, the terrain consists of steep hills and forested slopes. Narrow paths wind through the thick vegetation, but much of the land remains difficult to explore due to its rich geography. Another interesting feature of the island is its rocky shoreline. Over thousands of years, waves from the Atlantic Ocean have carved unusual formations into the island cliffs. These natural shapes, created by constant erosion, give the coastline a dramatic and wild appearance. The Snake Island is not volcanic, its rock formations and steep terrain give it a dramatic landscape that feels both ancient and untamed. Weather conditions around the island can also be intense. The Atlantic Ocean along the Brazil's southeastern coast sometimes produces strong winds and powerful waves, especially during the seasonal weather change. Storm moving across the ocean can quickly transform the waters around the island into the rough sea. These conditions have helped keep the island isolated, preventing frequent human visits throughout the history. Occasionally, during the calm nights, the water surrounding the island may even display faint glowing effect caused by microscopic organisms known as the bioluminescent plankton. When waves move through the water, these tiny creatures emit soft blue light, making the ocean shimmer in the darkness. Through the subtle, this phenomenon adds another layer of the mystery to the island's already unusual environment. All of these elements, the rare golden Lancehead, the bird-dependent food chain, the rock cliff, and the constantly shifting Atlantic waters combine to create one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Snake Island is not just dangerous, it's a powerful example of how nature can evolve in extraordinary ways when isolated from the rest of the world. And yet the island's natural wonders are only part of its story. For generations, the sailor, the explorer, and the local community has told mysterious stories about the forbidden island. Tales of shipwrecks, abandoned lighthouse, and the strange legends that continue to surround Ilha da Queimada Grande today. Long before scientists began studying the deadly snake of the Ilha da Queimada Grande, the island had already gained a mysterious reputation among the sailor fishermen and coastal communities along the shores of Brazil. For generations, the story about the island was passed down through the word of mouth, blending real events with the local legends. Over time, these tales transformed Snake Island into one of the most feared places along the Brazil coastline. One of the earliest legends connected to the island dates back to the period when the Portuguese explorers were first navigating the Atlantic waters of the South America. According to the local folklore, sailors who approached the island sometimes reported seeing snakes covering the ground or hanging from the tree branches. These reports quickly spread among the seafarers, who began to warn others to avoid landing there because ships traveling along the Brazilian coast relied heavily on the safe navigation. The dangerous rocky coastline around the island could soon become a serious concern. In response to this horror, the Brazilian government eventually constructed a lighthouse on the Ilha da Queimada Grande in the early 20th century. The purpose of the lighthouse was simple: to warn passing ships about the dangerous rocks surrounding the island. For a time, lighthouse keepers were stationed there to maintain the line, but one of the most thrilling legends associated with the Snake Island involves these lighthouse keepers. According to a widely repeated story, one family assigned to operate the lighthouse were attacked by snakes that somehow entered the building during the night. The legend claims that the family attempted to escape but was bitten by the snakes were trying to flee through the forest. While this story is difficult to verify historically, it has become one of the most famous tales associated with the island. Eventually, the lighthouse was automated, eliminating the need for people to live permanently on the island. Today, the lighthouse is maintained occasionally by the members of Brazilian Navy who visit the island only for short periods. Another group deeply familiar with the island reputation is the fishermen who work along the southeastern coast of the Brazil. Many fishermen have long avoided the waters immediately surrounding the Ilha da Queimada Grande, not only because of the snakes, but also because of the rough seas and sharp rocks that can damage the boats. Over time, story began circulating about fishermen who accidentally landed on the island and quickly realized how dangerous it was. These accounts describe stepping into the forest floor only noticed snakes moving through the leaves and across the branches above them. Whether exaggerated or not, these stories have strengthened the island's frightening reputation. In addition to these model legends, researchers believe that the island have maybe known to indigenous people long before the European explorer arrived in South America. While there is limited archaeological evidence of permanent settlements on the island. Indigenous communities living along the Brazilian coast likely observed the island from afar and may have passed down the story about the danger it contained. The island, very name, also reflects its unusual past. The name Ilha da Queimada Grande roughly translates to the large burned island. Historians believe this name may have originated from the attempts to burn the vegetation on the island long ago, possibly to clear land for agriculture or settlement. However, these attempts were never successful. The combination of difficult terrain, dangerous wildlife, and isolation made the permanent human settlement almost impossible. Today, the island remains uninhabited. Modern laws in Brazil strictly prohibit the public from visiting the island in order to protect both humans and the rare wildlife living there. Because of these restrictions, the Snake Island continues to exist as a mysterious and largely untouched place. Story of shipwrecks, snake filled forest, and abandoned lighthouses continue to circulate across the internet and in documentaries about the world's most dangerous places. Some of these stories may be exaggerated, but while others are rooted in the real historical events, but together they create a powerful image of a forbidden island, a place where the nature has remained firmly in control. And even today, Iha Quimada Grande continues to inspire both fear and curiosity. In the next part of journey, we explore why scientists and adventurous travelers remain fascinated by this dangerous island and what studying this unique ecosystem can teach us about evolution, survival, and the hidden wonders of our planet. Despite its dangerous reputation, Ilha da Queimada Grande has become one of the most fascinating locations for scientists around the world. At first, it might seem strange that researchers would be interested in visiting a place filled with thousands of venomous snakes, but for biologists, ecologists, and evolutionary scientists, Snake Island offers a incredibly rare opportunity to study how life adapts when it's become completely isolated. The island is the only natural home of the golden lancehead, also known by its scientific name Prothrops insularis. This rare species evolved separately from its mainland relatives after rising sea levels isolated the island thousands of years ago. Because of this isolation, the golden lens has developed unique biological traits that cannot be found in other snake populations. For scientists studying the evolution, the island provides a perfect real-world example of how the species change over time when they are cut off from other population. By analyzing the snake genetic venom composition and hunting behavior, researchers can observe how natural selection shapes a species in response to its environment. One of the most interesting discoveries is how the snake adapted to hunt birds instead of the mammals. On the mainland of the Brazil, many related snake species feed on the rodents or other small animals, but because the mammals are scarce on the snake island, the golden land has evolved venom that acts extremely quickly to stop the birds before they can escape. This specialized adaptation makes the species incredibly valuable for scientific research. Medical researchers are also interested in the snake venom. Venoms often contain complex proteins and compounds that can be useful in developing medicine, especially treatments related to blood circulation and heart conditions. Studying the venom of the golden land has could potentially contribute to the future medical discoveries. Ecologists are equally fascinated by the island's unusual ecosystem. Most environments on Earth include many layers of predators and prey that create a balanced food chain, but on the Snake Island, the ecosystem is dominated by a single powerful predator. Migratory birds briefly visit the island during their long journey across the Atlantic Ocean, and many of them become the prey for the resident snakes. This unusual predator-prey relationship allows the scientists to study how ecosystems function when one species becomes the dominant hunter. Geologists and environmental researchers are also interested in the island's physical landscape. The steep cliffs, dense Atlantic forest vegetation, and rocky terrain offer the insight into how coastal islands evolve over time. Storm, ocean waves, and wind constantly shape the island's coastline, slowly craving the cliffs and influencing how the plants grow across the terrain. Because the island is relatively untouched by the large-scale human development, it also provides a valuable opportunity to study how ecosystems behave in the near natural conditions. Although the island is extremely dangerous, it also captures the imagination of adventurous travelers and explorers. The idea of Forbidden Island filled with deadly snake became the subject of documentaries, books, and countless stories shared across the internet. Snake Island has developed an almost mythological reputation, a place that seems both fascinating and terrifying at the same time. However, visiting the island is not an option for most people. The government of Brazil strictly controls the access to Ilha da Queimada Grande, only authorized the researcher and member of Brazilian Navy are also allowed to the land on the island for scientific studies or maintenance of the lighthouse. These restrictions help protect both the fragile ecosystem and the people who might otherwise risk entering the island's dangerous environment. Even though most people will never stop into its stores, the Snake Island continues to inspire curiosity around the world. It reminds us that nature can create environments far more unusual and extreme than anything humans could imagine. In many ways, Iha Quiyamada Grande reveals something profound about its planet. Earth is not just a familiar world of city, forest, and ocean. It is a place filled with extraordinary ecosystem, strange evolutionary paths, and the isolated environments where life has adapted in remarkable ways. And somewhere out there, beyond the well-known and landscape of our world, places like Snake and Islands quietly continue to tell the story of nature's incredible diversity. Far out in the waters of the South Atlantic Ocean, a small island rises from the waves, covered in thick green forest and surrounded by dark cliffs. From a distance, Ihada Guiamada Grande looks before almost beautiful. The ocean sparkles under the sun, waves roll gently toward the rocky shore, and the steepest glitter through the warm coastal air. To an unsuspecting traveler, the island might appear like a quiet tropical paradise, but hidden beneath the dense canopy of the trees lies one of the most dangerous ecosystems on Earth. As the wind moves through the forest, the leaves rustle softly, creating a constant whisper. Across the hill, sunlight filters through the branches, casting the shifting patterns of light and shadow across the forest floor. Among the fallen leaves and tangled roots, something moves. Slender shapes glide silently through the undergrowth, blending almost perfectly with the earth beneath them. Coiled among the rocks and dragged across the branches are the island's most famous inhabitants, the deadly golden lancehead snakes. Their golden brown scales reflect the faint hints of the sunlight as they lie perfectly still, awaiting patiently. Unlike many predators that chase their prey, these snakes rely on the silence and precision. Perched along the tree branches or hidden among the foliage. They wait for a brief moment when a bird lands nearby after a long journey across the Atlantic Ocean. The strike, when it comes, is whip is clearly invisible. In the humid air of the island forest, time seems to move slowly. Thick vines hang from branches, and the steep slopes of the island rise toward the rocky ridges overlooking the ocean. From these high cliffs, the view stretches endlessly across the deep blue water surrounding Ilha da Queimada Grande. Below, the waves crash against the ancient rock formations caved by centuries of wind and sea. As evening approaches, the forest grows quieter. The golden light of the sunset spread across the island, illuminating the cliffs and the treetops in warm shades of orange and red. The shadows roll long across the forest floor, and the mysterious island seems to retreat further into the silence, far from the human cities and the modern lights. Snake Island feels untouched, a place where the nature still follows its own ancient rules. Standing on the cliffs above the darkening ocean, it becomes clearly why Queimada Grande continues to capture the imagination of scientists, explorers, and storytellers. This is not a simply a island, it's a hidden world wide dangerous and endlessly mysterious. As our journey across the island become to an end, one thing become clear. Ilha da Queimada Grande is far more just a dangerous island filled with venomous snakes. It is a powerful reminder of how strange, unpredictable, and extraordinary our planet can be. In a world where maps seem complete and satellites photograph nearly the every corner of the earth, it is easy to believe that there are no true mystery left to discover. Just the island like this challenge that belief. Hidden just a short distance from the mainland of Brazil, this small island evolved into something completely unique. Over thousands of years, isolation transformed its ecosystem into a place where one of the world's most remarkable reptiles, the golden land, has become the dominant predator. This rare species, scientifically known as the Polyps insularis, exists almost nowhere else on Earth. Its present tells an incredible story about how life adapts when the nature is allowed to follow its own path without interference. For scientists, the snake is a living example of evolution in action. Every plant, bird, and reptile on the island plays a role in a delicate ecosystem shaped by isolation and time. For explorer and storyteller, the island represents something equally powerful, the enduring mystery of nature. From the legends of lighthouse keepers and sailors to modern documentaries about the forbidden place, Snake Island has captured the imagination of people around the world. The idea of hidden island ruled by deadly predators feels almost like something from the mythology, but unlike myth, this place is real. It exists quietly in the Atlantic Ocean, surrounded by the waves and protected by strict laws that keep humans at a distance. In many ways, this protection has helped preserve the island's fragile ecosystem, and that may be one of the most important lessons Snake Island offers. Not every corner of Earth needs to be conquered, developed, and explored by humans. Some places remain valuable precisely because they are left quiet and undisturbed. Ilha da Queimada Grande remind us that our planet still contains environments that challenges our expectation, ecosystems shaped by millions of years of natural history. Even today, there are still remote islands, deep oceans, and explore the landscape that hold secrets awaiting to be discovered. Some of these places may be beautiful and others may be dangerous, but all of them reveal the incredible diversity of life on Earth, and perhaps That is what makes islands like the Snake Island so fascinating. They remind us that the world is still full of wonder and that beyond the familiar landscapes of our daily life, nature continues to write stories far stranger than anything we could imagine.